our first of the year, F.Y.I Live. I'm here with a very special guest, Marilyn Sparks, the Marilyn Sparks Agency. Welcome, and I'm glad to have you as my very first guest. I am your host, Carlos Garcia of F.Y.I Live. And again, I'm very excited about today's show because I get to spend not only some good quality time with a good friend of mine, but we also get to learn a little bit more about 2021 and what's ahead in planning in the insurance industry as well too. So welcome, Marilyn. I appreciate you taking time to come on board and be part of the very first show of 2021.
No problem. Happy New Year. I hope 2021 brings everyone good health, peace, and prosperity.
Excellent. So let's jump in because I know that there's been quite a bit of changes as every year brings. We've dealt with a lot of the pandemic with 2021, so there's been businesses that have really suffered through this. And I know you've been a real um, helpful resource for a lot of folks who don't even know where to start, especially when it comes to the insurance part of it. So let's begin by what are maybe some new things that are happening for 21 and actually bringing in right now that we're dealing with COVID. What are some things that can help business owners, families for that matter, in the insurance realm, that can help and be a part of a resource?
Well, number one, my theme for this year is education, helping people understand how to best protect their assets. And their assets, that sounds like such a millionaire or a wealthy person thing, but everything that you have, you worked hard to acquire. So assets could be a small savings account, a little bit of equity in your home, your car, all those things are assets. And so, how can we best protect them? Very simple. One thing that you walk away today is have your policy reviewed by your agent. Simple. And ask the questions. What if this happened? What if there was a fire? How am I covered? What if there's an earthquake? How am I covered? What if a water pipe breaks? How am I covered? What if somebody breaks into my car and steals my laptop? How am I covered? Just things like that. What are some of those what if scenarios? We all read about our neighbors. Maybe they've got the Ring video and they post on Nextdoor or some other social media app. We see it all the time. Those are things. Ask yourself, gosh, if this happened to me and my family, would I be covered?
And those are great questions because we don't really even think about that too. I know that we've had discussions where although we may be covered with our insurance or our policies, sometimes we're not paying attention to the actual numbers.
Right.
So it's also very helpful, and that's something I would like for you to also share with our listeners and those tuning in. What to look for, the assessment piece. I think it's very important.
There's a lot of components to an insurance policy, and I don't expect everybody to one, understand it like I do, or two, love it like I do. But like, for example, on a homeowner's policy, the dwelling coverage, that's the cornerstone for the rest of the policy. Most of the other coverages are a percentage of that number. So do you have enough to rebuild your home in case it's completely destroyed? That's what we're trying to ensure, rebuilding your home. You want to have enough insurance to get everything back. If you had granite countertops, we want to get those back to you. You don't want to end up with Formica if you bought granite, right? Or if you had beautiful waterproof laminate or an exotic hardwood floor and end up with carpet, right? You want to get what you invested, that asset.
And that's a great point too. And folks, if you're just joining us, I'm here, our first show of the year, F.Y.I Live, with the one and only Marilyn Sparks, a very dear friend of mine, but also an expert in the insurance field. If you're not familiar with Marilyn, please take a look at her website. It's listed there below. Make sure that you take a moment to really assess what she's talking about here as far as your policy. And right now, we're currently covering home, and eventually, we're going to start talking a little bit too also about business because that's another piece of the puzzle for us business owners, entrepreneurs that we don't really think about as well. But Marilyn, just share with folks a little bit how they can get a hold of you. What are some initial things that you can offer for them up front?
Well, you can visit my website, and right on my website, you can schedule a virtual meeting with me. We can have a virtual coffee chat. You just select the time that you're available. It's a 30-minute slot, and we can do a very quick overview of your policy, or at least I can get the opportunity to get to know you and what it is we're trying to protect.
Excellent. And something I also want to make sure you folks know, and correct me if I'm wrong, but there's no obligation to that coffee, the virtual coffee with you. So it, you should definitely take her up on that too. And you're going to get it. And the only reason I'm saying this also is because I have a lot of connections in the insurance world, but I will tell you that this lady here will give it to you straight. There is no games with her, and this is why I have a very great relationship with her because she's not going to oversell you on things. What you see is what you get, and honesty is the best policy. And this is actually the perfect example of someone who's out there for your protection, your home, your assets, and all of that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a no obligation review. It might be that you're good right where you are, and I can recommend how you can improve coverage and then send you on your merry way. And then if you ever have any questions, call me. I can't tell you the number of people that are not my clients, but I've helped them navigate through claims, or they have questions about their policy. I'm happy to answer because maybe they can't get hold of their agent, or they're with a company that doesn't have an agent and it's an 800 number and they're on hold forever. So some things, I'm just happy to help. That's who I am.
Marilyn, share with us also some. I know you've got a wealth of stories because I've heard a few of them also. But like, say for 2020, what are some maybe one story or something that stands out for you that could have been prevented when it came to an insurance claim, or, for example, losing a home or something along those lines?
Oh, good question. Well, on the business side, we had many small businesses that had to pivot, right, in the type of business that they did. For example, a restaurant. We had many restaurants that could no longer have sit-in dining and now no outdoor dining. And they decided, hey, how can we expand our footprint? And they started offering delivery service. Well, their policy didn't cover delivery because that's not how they were initially set up. And so the employee hopped in their own car, and they got into an accident on their way to make a delivery. And it wasn't covered because they turned their personal car into a commercial use that commercially was used by another business. And so the loss wasn't covered. I also see individuals who subcontract for UPS or FedEx. And so they're making deliveries. They're not UPS employees, but they're making deliveries. They get the vest in their own car. But they didn't tell their agent that they're using their car, their personal vehicle, as a side hustle, whether that's DoorDash or Grubhub or some of the other food delivery services. You've got to communicate with your agent that you're using your car for business.
Wow, what a great point. And so since we're talking about business, let's jump right into that. As we begin 2021, again, policies for business are a little bit different than homeowner policies. So maybe you can share with us some things that we should know as business owners, particularly right now in 2021 as we're starting the year, that maybe we put aside or we forgot to do it, last year, or something that should be that's very important that we should be looking at right now as a business owner?
Well, as a business owner, if you're in operation or if you've kind of maybe mothballed part of your operation, I would take a look at contents coverage on your business policy. If you are not going to the office every day, you've got everybody working remotely, your business could be at risk for somebody breaking in because they know no one's there.
Right.
So, do you have computers in there? Do you have other equipment? Just some of those things to think about. Look at the business personal property coverage. Another thing is with so many changes in the laws regarding COVID, make sure you have your employment practices liability insurance up to date. If you don't have it on your policy, get it on your policy because that helps with things that come up between manager and employee, employee to employee, employee to customer. We just want to make sure that you're covered.
Excellent. Folks, we are talking here with Marilyn Sparks of Marilyn Sparks Agency. I am putting on her website here, transferrisk2marilyn.com. I know insurance is always a serious subject, and I almost feel like we have to break it up, make it a little bit more fun or interesting, right? So um, I want to find out also, we've just talked a little bit about the home insurance policy. We've talked a little bit about the business aspect of it. What do you see as a trend usually in the area of business? What type of industries are should have additional, for example, additional coverage? And where I'm getting at, for example, is I've heard mention in IT, you're supposed to have your own business coverage, not only for your business but also for for practice. There's other offices or particular services that need additional business insurance to protect them and protect the clients as well too. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, if you're having employees work from home, does your workers' comp insurance know that? That's another thing that you need to stay in contact with your agent to give them updates on your policy so that they can extend coverage properly. Another thing about working from home is do they have the correct security settings on the computers if they're dealing with client information? So, do you have cyber insurance? And
Right.
whether you're working from home or not, even if you're in the office, you should have cyber insurance if you're transmitting data, if you're collecting clients' debit cards or checking account or credit card information. Even
Yeah.
if you're a restaurant, you pay with a credit or debit card and that card is taken away to get processed. We don't know what's happening with that card, so protect the business.
Yeah, and those are great points. Folks, if you're just joining us again, we're here at F.Y.I Live. My website is fytechnologies.net. We focus a lot on what Marilyn's talking about with security for offices and different things. For me, the show is not about a sales pitch for my business, but it's actually, I want to make sure that all you guys listening are very well educated in the different aspects of business. Insurance being a high priority for a lot of us to make sure that we have the right coverage, we have the right um, uh, coverage for our devices that are in our business. I like the fact that you talked about the remote workers. I think that there's still a lot of unknowns,
Mhm.
and because it was so quick that happened, and I had a lot of clients that we had to transfer them over directly from their regular day to day,
Right.
office to working virtually, and it's almost like overnight. I
Right.
think, I think what happened is not thinking about that and just making sure that people weren't down to do day to day business. It's something that wasn't really discussed last year, not
Right.
to the extent that it should be. So I want to make
Well,
sure.
but I mean, to the employer's side, this was going to be 2 weeks,
Right.
right? We just thought we'll send everybody home and kind of write it out. And if you had to work, if you were a business that had to work, you set up very quickly. very primitive or rudimentary just to keep going. But here we are 10 months later, and we really need to protect the business, right? Protect your employees, protect your clients.
Yeah, and again, it's I don't know if there's a set standard of rules when it comes to insuring folks working from home remotely, especially if this is an extension of your office. I don't know if it's considered a satellite office. I think these are some of the questions that have come up over the last few months. Should my home insurance be covering my office equipment, or is it vice versa? You know what I mean? Um,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't expect you to answer all of these questions, but these are questions I think, folks, that if you have them, please put them in the chat. I know that we can discuss this also at a later show as well, and I'm sure that Marilyn can answer some of these questions directly. You have the website. Make sure that you connect with her, send her some of these questions, so you can put your mind at ease. Because the last thing we want is to make sure that we start 2021 trying to catch up as opposed to just being proactive and getting things done the right way and implemented.
Right. Absolutely. Being proactive is always best, because when a claim happens, um, we're worried, we're scared, we don't know what to do, we don't know who to call. There's just a lot of what ifs. And then trying to remember, especially if your home was broken into or your car was broken into, trying to remember what was in my car, or where did I put that, ring, or whatever it is. It's better to, while nothing is going on in that arena, is taking the time just to take pictures of the interior of your house, make inventory. There's things that you can do now to help you later. And the cost is time. But I'd rather take a little bit of time now, so they don't miss anything later.
And that's a great point. It's whatever we invest as far as time now, it's going to save us the headache in the long run, in such a larger scale. What
Right.
I'm talking about, that is the same thing with in my technology world, right? When I talk to clients about getting systems and all that, first thing that a lot of folks are going to ask is, well, what's it going to cost me? Well, there's the cheap fix, right, which is going to give you headaches in the long run, or spend a
Right.
little bit more upfront that's going to give you peace of mind in the
Yep.
long run. And that's kind of a hard concept of a mindset to change with folks, because cheap, you get what you pay for, and cheap isn't always the best option. I'd rather pay for that extra amount and have a little bit of peace of mind than having to deal with it. And just like with you, right? So, for example, folks in your industry, it's like a doctor. Once you find that one doctor or that one mechanic that you can trust and always go to them,
Right.
you're set for life, right? And I look at that the same way with you, right? Once you know that insurance person has the best interest and you have that great relationship, that's who I'm going to go to, man. Regardless of who's offering me this to save me $10 here. No, it doesn't matter, because I know that I get quality service all the time, and it's not about a lot of us trying to do more clients, and then the service kind of diminishes.
Right.
You know,
But
and
on the customer side, the prospect, or not, the novelty of a low price wears off very quickly when you find out I'm not covered.
right,
I did a presentation not too long ago where I had two like grocery bags, and one was 25 bucks, and one was 35 bucks. Which one would you take? Well, you don't know until you really look
yeah,
inside, right? So um, it's not, yes, economics plays a part in our decision making, but we've got to look for value.
absolutely. Folks, I want to make sure that if you have questions, please put them on the chat. Appreciate you guys joining us here for the first show of the year. I'm here with Marilyn Sparks. She is owner of transferrisk2marilyn.com. There's information and additional resources available for you there. Make sure you get in touch with her. You can also set up a virtual coffee with her. and talk shop. There's 30-minute slots on it, and there's no obligation, so you can't go wrong with that. There's no excuse to sit down and take a look at, an overview of your policy or what you need with that too. So I appreciate you coming on board with that. I kind of want to end our show today. If you can maybe give us a best practices moving forward, things that we should look out for, both maybe in the home or in the business aspect of it.
Well, there was an article in the LA Times that was just published within the past couple days. In fact, Dr. Lucy Jones, our favorite seismologist from Caltech, actually retweeted the article, and there was a study done by FEMA, and they say that Los Angeles ranked the riskiest place for natural disasters in the United States.
Wow.
And, the threat of earthquake, wildfires, those are all threatening where we live if you're in the Los Angeles County area. So, number one, have your policy reviewed right away, business and personal. Number two, come up with a disaster preparedness plan for you and your family, you and your employees. And then three, memorialize that plan, practice it. I happen to serve as the Los Angeles County Insurance Commissioner for the 5th District, and I have access to these guides from the Los Angeles County. It's the Emergency Survival Guide. It is full of information and even has a great grid to map out your house or business to come up with those plans. And it's not just fire, not just earthquake, it's other things. If you can, get involved in a neighborhood watch. If something happens, it's going to take a while for first responders to get to your community, potentially. Who in your community knows first aid? Who knows CPR? Start working on those things to help you be a better citizen and better homeowner, better business owner, better employee, and just round out everything you've got. But policy reviews, number one. It's easy. It doesn't cost you anything but a little bit of time.
Awesome. And I appreciate that, folks. Thank you for joining us today. We've got a lot of great shows ahead. Please make sure that you are following me at FYItechnologies.net. All the social media platforms are there. Stay tuned. And also, if you are a local business or a business that provides services for the community, please send me a message. I'd love to have you on the show. Marilyn, thanks for being here today. Thanks.
No
for
problem. If any of your viewers want one of these guides, let me know. I'm happy to mail one to them.
Excellent. Actually, better yet, if somebody would like a copy of that or mail to you, please visit Marilyn. We have her website below. Send her a message so you guys, can stay in touch and receive that free offer from her as well too. All right, give me 1 second here.
Okay, and then can I leave with 4 questions?
Absolutely.
Okay, everybody, ask yourself 4 questions. 1, do I have the right amount of coverage? 2, do I have the right kind of coverage? 3, am I getting the best value? And 4, and last, if the worst happens, am I covered?
You've heard it, folks. Make sure you guys have to get to work on that for sure. All right, Marilyn, thank you again for being here with us, folks. This has been another great episode here of F.Y.I. Live with Marilyn Sparks. So I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you sharing everything you did with us today. And I will see you guys next week. Tune in. I will surprise you guys with our next special guest. So thanks again, Marilyn.
No problem. Thanks.
All right. Take care.
Bye.